Ladies and gentlemen, let me share something with you. There is a reason you're here today, a reason your heart stirred when you read that title. Deep down, whether you're a woman who's been dismissed or a man who's failed to see her worth, you know this message is not just a talk, it's a wake-up call. Because for far too long, this world has disguised queens in masks. They've called her too much when she was just enough. They've labeled her as difficult when she was simply divinely direct. They've said she was crazy when she was only brave enough to speak the truth in a room full of egos. Let's make one thing clear from the start. She's not a toy. She's not here for your amusement. She's not here to be compared, collected, or controlled. She's a queen, chosen and blessed by God. When God created her, He didn't use leftovers. He didn't pick up spare parts. He crafted her with perfection, sealed her with favor, and launched her into this world with a purpose so powerful that even hell itself trembled. So why should you listen to this message? Because once you understand what a queen truly is, your life changes. Men will rise in wisdom, women will rise in worth, and broken homes will heal, transforming into strong, thriving kingdom. Because when you stop playing with the crown and start respecting the throne, everything changes. This isn't just motivation, it's a revelation. So buckle up, because by the time I finish, you won't just see her in a different light, you'll see yourself differently too. There comes a time when the truth must shine brightly, unapologetically, and undeniably, and the truth is, she's not a toy. She never was, and she never will be. But the world forgot. They saw the curves and missed the courage. They heard the sweetness in her voice and ignored the steel in her spine. They admired her beauty but overlooked her brilliance. Because when a woman walks in her purpose, when she carries herself with the unshakable knowledge of who she is and to whom she belongs, it makes people uncomfortable. Why? Because power wrapped in grace makes insecure people tremble. So they tried to take that identity from her, slowly, quietly, systematically. From childhood, she was taught to shrink herself. Don't be too loud, don't be too opinionated. Don't shine too brightly or you'll intimidate others. They conditioned her to apologize for her existence, to make herself small so others could feel taller. They trained her to smile when she wanted to scream, to settle when she was meant to soar. But even when the world tried to confine her, guess what? God never changed the plan. Her royalty is still embedded in her DNA. Her value is still measured in heaven's currency. You can't erase what the Creator designed. You can't mute a soul spoken into existence with purpose. You can't reduce a queen to a toy and expect her not to rise. When you call her a toy, you're saying she's here for temporary pleasure, disposable. But when you call her a queen, you acknowledge her eternal value. You recognize that her presence shifts the atmosphere. Her wisdom builds nations. Her heart has withstood storms and still beats with compassion. A toy can be bought. A queen is chosen. A toy entertains, a queen elevates. A toy follows instructions written by man. A queen follows divine direction. This isn't just about gender. It's about identity. It's about reclaiming a truth buried under years of lies, trauma, culture, and miseducation. She's not here to be consumed. She's here to contribute. She's not here to be owned. She's here to spark change. She's not here to serve ego. She's here to serve a greater purpose. And I don't care how many likes you have on Instagram, how many followers fill your DMs. If you can't tell the difference between a toy and a queen, you're not ready for her. A queen doesn't seek attention. She seeks alignment. She doesn't chase validation. She walks in revelation. Do you know why she intimidates so many? Because when a woman knows who she is, she makes everyone around her feel seen, or perhaps seen for the first time. When she enters a room with her head held high and grace on her lips, insecure people are forced to check their reflections. Not because she thinks she's better, but because she refuses to settle for less. And that scares people who profit off her silence. But no more letting her identity be shaped by the media, by music, by men who never learned to honor what they couldn't control. No more dimming her light to make room for people who were never meant to walk beside her. No more playing small in a world that has been waiting for her to take her rightful place. Because the truth is, she is not just a woman, she is a reflection of God's creativity. She is strategy in spirit, She is beauty and battle-tested resilience. She is laughter and logic, fire and forgiveness. And don't be mistaken, just because she carries it well doesn't mean it isn't heavy. She's been through heartbreaks that should have shattered her, trails of betrayal that should have buried her, disappointments that should have defined her, but here she is, still rising, still radiant, still royalty. She is not a toy. She is the product of prayers, the answer to generations, the embodiment of survival wrapped in grace. She is the whisper of God's promise in a chaotic world. And the moment she reclaims that truth, the moment she stops waiting for permission to be who she is, the world won't know what hit it. Because when a queen knows her name, she walks differently, speaks differently, loves differently, and demands a different level of respect, not because she asks for it, but because she is it. Let the world be reminded, she is not here to play games. She is here to reign. Have you ever noticed how people treat things depending on where they came from? A designer purse is handled with care. A luxury car is parked in the shade. A rare gem is stored safely in a vault. Because when something is rare, when something is crafted with precision, when something is designed by a master, it's not treated like it came off a discount shelf. Let me be real with you for a moment. She wasn't made in a factory. She wasn't shaped by fleeting trends. She wasn't assembled for mass consumption. She was designed by the Creator, handcrafted with intention, precision, and divinity flowing through every detail. When God made her, He didn't say, let's make a woman. He said, let's create a force. Let's create a nurturer with the strength of a warrior. Let's make a visionary with the heart of a healer. Let's create royalty and place it in skin and soul. This isn't just about her appearance, the way she walks or talks. It's about the blueprint of her very being. It's about the fire in her spirit, the wisdom in her silence, the peace she carries into a room that didn't even know it was drowning in chaos. Have you ever seen a woman walk with authority and say nothing? That's design. Have you ever witnessed a woman give life, raise nations, and hold families together with hands that never stop and a heart that never stops giving? That's not ordinary. That's royalty in action. A toy is mass-produced. It's copied over and over. You can discard it once you're done. But a queen is custom-made. Each one is unique. Each one is rare. Each one bears a signature from heaven that says, do not touch unless you know what you're holding. Think about that. The issue is too many people are treating queens like they're convenient, trying to possess her when they should be honoring her, playing with her when they should be protecting her, trying to access her without understanding her value. She's not for sale, she's to be respected, because royalty doesn't sell itself short. It doesn't beg to be noticed. It doesn't chase, it chooses. When you approach a woman, understand what you're standing before. You're not just approaching a woman. You're standing before legacy, history, a lineage of battles fought and won. You know what it took for her to be here? Somebody's grandmother prayed for her. Somebody's mother cried over her. Somebody's great-great-grandmother dreamed of a day when she could walk free, speak loudly, and live boldly. She is the culmination of generations that refused to quit. She is the fulfillment of prophecy wrapped in skin. She has royal blood running through her veins. And it didn't start with her. It started with... So if you think you can reduce her to her body, her job title, or her relationship status, you've already disqualified yourself from the conversation. Because royalty cannot be measured by surface-level nonsense. It's in her mindset, her convictions, how she carries pain, yet still shows up with a smile that lights up the room while hiding a storm she won't let drown her. Queens don't move like everyone else. They walk with restraint. They speak with clarity. They act with purpose. They know what time it is, and they don't waste it entertaining fools. If you approach a queen, understand what you're walking into. You're not stepping onto a playground. You're stepping onto holy ground. Because her spirit was created to reign, not to survive. She wasn't put here to be tolerated. She was put here to transform. That's why she doesn't beg for attention. That's why she won't fight to be chosen. Because what is royal knows its worth. And it won't stoop to be understood by people too blind to see the crown. She doesn't need to convince anyone. Her life is the proof. Her existence is the evidence. Her presence is the reminder that God doesn't make mistakes. He creates masterpieces. Let this be clear. She wasn't made to be someone's entertainment. She was made to be someone's elevation. She wasn't made to be used. She was made to be understood, honored, and empowered. When you truly recognize her design, you treat the creation with reverence. You move slower, you listen more, you love deeper, because now you're not just looking at a woman. You're looking at royalty walking in human form. And the day you truly see her is the day you begin to see yourself differently. Because if she's royalty, what does that make the person beside her? Step correctly, because this is divine design. Not for play, not for profit, but for purpose. And purpose never begs to be noticed. It simply reigns. She didn't just show up by accident. She's not here just to look good in selfies or smile through small talk. She's here because heaven had a plan and God said, I've got the perfect person for the job. When we talk about her being a queen, we're not just talking about posture or poise. We're talking about calling. We're talking about spiritual weight. We're talking about a woman who wasn't just born, she was sent. And when God sends someone, He doesn't send them empty. He equips them. He anoints them. He fills them with a fire that the world didn't give and the world can't take away. She's not here to fade into the background. She was born to stand in the gap, to pray when others fold, to rise when others retreat, to lead when others hesitate. You may not see the whole picture when she walks into a room. You may see the style, the confidence, maybe the smile, but what you don't see is the battle she's already fought before the sun even rose. You don't see the quiet prayers she whispered while everyone else was sleeping, asking God to protect her family, her friends, even those who have turned their backs on her. You see the outside, but this woman is armored in faith. She is wrapped in grace. She walks with angels. She's not moved by trends. She's driven by truth. Let me tell you what makes her unstoppable. It's not that life hasn't tried to break her. It has. It's not that she hasn't been overlooked, underpaid, disrespected, or misunderstood. Oh, she's experienced it all. But every time life tried to knock her off course, heaven whispered, "Keep going, I sent you." Have you ever wondered why some people simply can't be shaken? Why some women walk like they already know the ending? It's because they do. She has confirmation in her spirit. She has scripture in her soul, and she carries a purpose in her steps. No, she's not random. She's intentional. She's been placed, positioned, and rooted exactly where she's supposed to be. She's the type of woman that hell watches closely, because when she prays, chains break. When she speaks, lies lose their grip. When she worships, the atmosphere shifts. She doesn't just show up, she changes the room. But don't mistake her gentleness for weakness. Don't mistake her kindness as permission to treat her poorly. Because while she may forgive, she never forgets who she is. She never forgets who sent her. That's the thing about walking with a divine purpose. It changes how you see yourself. She doesn't need everyone to understand her. She doesn't need a crowd to validate her, because she knows she's not walking alone. God doesn't send His daughters out into the world without provision, so she walks as if her steps are ordered because they are. She speaks with authority because her words carry power. She dreams as though it's already done because in the spirit, it is. A queen on assignment doesn't get distracted by temporary things. She's not chasing fame, she's chasing destiny. She's not swayed by applause, she's moved by alignment. When you understand that you were sent by God, you start letting go of anything that doesn't align with your mission. Some people won't get it. Some will ask her to tone down her fire, to shrink so they can feel big. But she's not here for that. She didn't come to play it safe. She came to walk in the power that was placed inside her before she even took her first breath. And she may not quote scripture every time she speaks. She may not hold a title in the church. But when she walks, heaven takes notice. When she prays, hell retreats. Because she's not just someone's daughter, mother, or partner. She is God's chosen vessel. And when He sends a queen on assignment, it's serious business. So if you've ever doubted her worth, her purpose, or her presence, look again, look closer. Because that's not just a woman standing before you. That's a spiritual force clothed in elegance, fulfilling a mission only she can complete. The world might not understand her. They might try to confine her. They might call her too much, too intense, too emotional, or too independent. But heaven calls her essential. Heaven calls her equipped. Heaven calls her sent. So the next time you see her walking through fire and not flinching, the next time you see her loving those who tried to break her, the next time you see her smiling through pain and still pushing forward, just know she's not just surviving life, she's fulfilling a divine assignment. And when God sends someone on a mission, you better believe they don't leave empty-handed. They leave a legacy. They change lives. They build futures, because that's what queens do, especially the ones sent by God. You don't touch what God calls sacred and expect to walk away unchanged. This world has grown too comfortable disrespecting what heaven has crowned, too casual about women who carry divine favor on their lives, too reckless with their words, too hasty with their hands, too careless with their intentions. But let me make one thing clear with certainty. A queen sent by God does not walk alone. She may look like she's standing by herself, but heaven surrounds her. Angels go before her, grace walks beside her, and justice, oh justice, follows behind her, waiting patiently. Because when God calls you his, he doesn't just give you a purpose, he gives you protection. So when someone mishandles her, it's not just a personal offense, it's a spiritual violation. You're not just dishonoring a woman, you're dishonoring a daughter of the king, and God doesn't stay silent when his daughters are mistreated. You ever wonder why some people can't recover after wronging a real one? Why their life starts falling apart? Why doors that used to swing open now slam shut? It's because when you misuse what God has marked, there are consequences, not out of punishment, but out of divine principle. You can't mistreat favor and expect blessings to follow. You can't dishonor what heaven honors and expect peace to remain. She is covered. She may not always fight back in the way the world expects. She might not clap back, expose secrets, or run to social media for sympathy, because queens know vengeance isn't theirs. It belongs to God. And when she gives the pain over to him, he doesn't just heal her, he handles it. That's why you have to be careful. Be careful how you speak to her. Be careful how you approach her. Be careful what energy you bring into her life, because she's not just protected by locks and alarms. She's protected by favor, by discernment, by a spiritual covering that can't be faked and definitely can't be fought. Some think they can get close to her, thinking she's an easy target. But they don't realize she's been through fire. She's been tested. She's been refined. And she didn't just survive, she came out with a sword in one hand and wisdom in the other. You thought you were playing her, but you were playing yourself. You tried to manipulate royalty, and all you did was activate divine retaliation. Listen, she doesn't need to drag your name through the mud. She doesn't need to lower her standards to keep you around. She doesn't need to beg you to treat her right. Because if you can't recognize the value in her presence, God will remove you from her path. No conversation, no warning, just gone. That's what sacred protection looks like. It doesn't argue, it doesn't chase, it just shields, separates, and secures what's holy. And make no mistake, she is holy ground. Not perfect, but set apart. Not flawless, but favored. Not untouchable, but covered by something you can't always explain, but you will definitely feel if you cross the line. Because queens don't have to shout to be heard. They don't have to fight dirty to win. They walk with a quiet confidence, knowing God's got them. So even when you thought she was weak because she stayed silent, even when you thought you got away with hurting her, even when you thought you could leave and she'd crumble, God was already at work restoring her, elevating her, rebuilding her behind the scenes while your pride kept you blinded. That's why you have to be careful with her heart. It's not made of stone, but it's not a playground either. It's sacred, it's precious, and it's guarded by the one who gave it rhythm. You can't mistreat a queen and expect a king's reward. You can't play with her emotions and still find peace. You can't plant pain and expect joy to follow, because what you do to her, you do to the God who sent her. And he is not mocked. He sees, he hears, and he moves. This is not fear, it's reverence. It's a call to rise up and honor what has been overlooked for too long. So, If you're fortunate enough to know her, to walk beside her, to be trusted by her, protect her, pray for her, speak life into her, because if you lose her, you didn't just lose a good woman. You lost God's investment in your life. And that loss, it echoes, because when you mishandle favor, when you disrespect royalty, when you touch the crown with dirty hands, heaven doesn't step back, it steps in. So remember this, she is not a toy, she is a queen, and her protection is not your decision, it's God's promise. Handle her accordingly. She's more than elegance, more than curves, charisma, or conversation. She is grace embodied. Walking proof that God still creates masterpieces in human form. When you see her, you're not just seeing a woman, you're seeing the mirror of grace. Grace is one of those things people love to talk about but rarely understand. They think grace is a soft, sweet word. But grace is power. Grace is resilience wrapped in tenderness. Grace is God's presence showing up in unlikely places. And often it shows up in her. Have you ever been around a woman who makes you feel peace without saying a word? That's not just personality, that's presence. Have you ever watched her forgive someone who didn't even deserve a second chance? That's not weakness. It's grace doing its quiet work. People underestimate what it takes to move like her. She's not bitter, even though she's had every reason to be. She's not hard-hearted, even though life tried to turn her cold. She doesn't clap back the way people expect, not because she can't, but because she knows some battles aren't worth losing the crown over. Wade, losing the crown over, for the grace Grace allows her to carry what would crush someone else. Grace gives her the strength to keep giving when all she wants is to rest. Grace makes her a safe place in a chaotic world. She doesn't just extend grace, she reflects it. She shows you what it looks like to live healed, not hardened. To be aware of your scars, but not ruled by them. That's what makes her different. She's not faking joy. She fought for it. She's not pretending to be whole. She let God break her and rebuild her piece by piece, prayer by prayer. You think grace is just something she says before a meal? No, grace is how she lives, how she leads, how she loves. Do you know the most dangerous kind of woman? Not the loudest, not the flashiest. It's the one who knows her power but chooses peace. The one who could destroy you with truth but instead gives you silence. The one who could walk away bitter but instead walks away better. She's got every reason to be angry at this world. She's been misread, mistreated, misjudged, used for her strength, and then discarded when she needed help. And yet she doesn't carry vengeance. She carries vision. Because grace doesn't make her forget. It just helps her forgive without losing herself. Grace reminds her, you don't have to become what tried to break you. And that's the real flex. Not the car, not the clothes, not the status. The real flex is being soft in a world that told her she had to be steel. The real flex is choosing light when darkness was easier. The real flex is walking into a room full of people who doubted her and blessing it anyway. That's who she is. She's not a toy. You don't wind her up when you want her. You don't shove her when you're done. You don't press buttons expecting her to perform. She's a mirror of divine grace. And when you get close to her, She doesn't just show you her reflection, she shows you yours. She reveals the places in you that need healing. She reflects what love is supposed to look like. She shows you what it means to give without losing yourself, to serve without shrinking, to shine without apologizing. Being around her makes you want to be better, not out of pressure, but out of inspiration. Because you can't stare into grace and stay the same. She's not about perfection, she's about progress. She doesn't expect you to come flawless, but she won't let you stay broken either. Because grace lifts, grace stretches, grace doesn't leave people where it found them, and she walks in that every single day. You want to know how powerful she is? Watch how she shows love after betrayal. Watch how she still believes in people even when they've let her down. Watch how she never loses sight of God's goodness even when life gets ugly. That's not naivety, that's divine alignment. And don't get it twisted, she's not just graceful in private, she's gracious in business, in leadership, in friendship, in motherhood, in womanhood. Every space she enters is better because she doesn't just bring talent, she brings grace. So if you've got a woman like that in your life, don't play with her, don't diminish her, don't take her for granted. Because she's not just holding, she lifts herself up. She's carrying others too. And she's doing it with a strength that is wrapped in gentleness. She's not something you discard when you grow bored. She's not a passing phase that you eventually outgrow. She is a reflection of what God can do with pain, patience, and purpose. And when you observe her, if you look closely enough, you'll see the image of grace, mercy, redemption, and hope. And you'll realize she isn't here to dazzle you. She's here to remind you that what's been touched by God cannot be touched the same way by man. That's not just a woman, that's a queen graced to rule. For too long, society has tried to define her, trap her, sell her short, water her down, dress her up like an object, strip her of her depth, and serve her to the world as a trend, a tool, a fantasy, a commodity. They've tried to take the queen out of the woman and leave only the surface. They love the way she looks, but not the legacy she carries. They want her body, but not her brilliance. They'll quote her style, but ignore the substance beneath it. But let me tell you something true. She's not for sale. She's not a plot device for your entertainment. She's not an accessory to someone else's glory. She is the origin, she is the foundation, she is the blueprint. She's not just a part of the culture, she is the culture. She's where it all began. She's the rhythm and the beat. She's the fire and the language, the sacred and the soul. When you look at her, you're not just seeing a woman, you're seeing history walking, legacy breathing, royalty reborn. But the world forgot her. And worse, it made her forget herself. Made her think that her worth only mattered if she was quiet, polite, pleasing, and marketable. Made her chase beauty standards that were never designed with her in mind. Made her question her strength, her presence, her place, and even try to rewrite her story. But she's taking the pen back. This is not just about empowerment, it's about reclamation. It's about reaching back into the garden, into the throne room, into the divine blueprint and saying, give me back what was mine before the world tried to rename me. Because she's not some modern creation. She's ancient, she's rooted, she's spiritual, she's prophetic. She's the echo of every woman who came before her and the dream of every woman yet to come. So when she lifts her head, it's not pride, it's alignment. When she walks with intention, it's not an attitude, it's ancestral memory waking up in her bones. When she says, I won't settle, it's not arrogance, it's a declaration from a bloodline that remembers struggle, survival, and sanctity. She's done trying to shrink to fit into systems that were never built for her. She's not playing small anymore, not dumbing herself down to make others feel bigger. Not folding just to be included at tables that can't bear the weight of her truth. She's creating her own table now. And let me tell you, it's big enough for queens, warriors, survivors, and sisters. For women who have been silenced and are finding their voice again. For those who forgot who they were and are now remembering. Because when one queen reclaims her crown, the whole culture shifts. Beauty is not what's photoshopped, it's what's lived through. Value is not what's visible, it's what's endured. Success isn't about status, it's about standing tall in a world that tried to erase you. She's not just taking back her image, she's taking back her story. She's telling her truth, raw, unfiltered, and unapologetic. She's reclaiming softness as power, vulnerability as strength, and femininity as divine design, not weakness. So, don't come to her asking for a performance. Don't ask her to smile when she's grieving. Don't expect her to dim her fire to make you more comfortable. She's reclaiming her space, her voice, her power. And she's doing it not just for herself, but for every girl who is watching her. For every daughter learning how to wear her skin with pride. For every sister who needs to be reminded that she was never too much. She was just too royal for the world to see at first. To entertain, to serve, to be admired, but never truly heard. But she's not a toy, she's a queen. So let them talk, let them misunderstand, let them stare in confusion as she rises anyway. No, she's not here to explain herself. She's here to reclaim herself, piece by piece, truth by truth, step by step. This is not rebellion, this is return. Return to wholeness. Return to power. Return to royalty. And once a queen remembers who she is, once she rises with clarity, conviction, and God by her side, nothing in this world can force her back into silence. Because when she reclaims herself, she doesn't just rewrite the rules, she resurrects the kingdom. And now the crown isn't just worn, it's walked in. The world may have forgotten who she was, but she hasn't. Not anymore. She's back, she's bold, and she's bringing the culture with her. Not a toy, not a trend, not a passing post. She's a queen, blessed, sent, and reclaimed. Now you've heard it, and if you've really listened, deep in your soul, you know she's not just some background character in a story someone else wrote. She is the story. She is the moment. She is the movement. Not a toy to be played with, not a placeholder to be ignored, not a body to be branded, but a queen, crowned by heaven, covered in grace, and called with purpose. She is the echo of power and the whisper of peace. She's walked through storms and still holds her head like royalty. She's carried burdens that would crush most, yet still offers love. She's been disrespected, overlooked, underestimated, and still she rises. And she's not asking for a seat at your table anymore. She's building her own kingdom. One step, one prayer, one healed wound at a time. So, world, respect her, protect her, honor her, and to the queens listening, to the women who feel this in their bones, never let this world make you forget who you are. You were never meant to be anyone's toy. You were never meant to be anyone's shadow. You were born to rule, not to beg. You were made to lead, not to shrink. You were sent by God. And when He sends you, He stands with you. The crown you wear isn't just decoration, it's for dominion. So walk like it. Speak like it, love like it, reign like it, because the world doesn't change when a queen is crowned. It changes when a queen finally remembers who she is. Now go be her, the queen. The vessel, the standard, the fire, the voice, the one they tried to bury but didn't realize was planted. She's not a toy. She's a queen, blessed and sent by God, and her time is now.